It's July 19th, 2020, and welcome to episode 40 of the Baby Metal podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future products of Baby Metal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I am Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Hello, welcome back.
And Garrett.
Hey, everyone.
And Callie.
Hello.
All right. We are now continuing our discussion of Headbanger. This episode, we're going to actually do kind of like a deep dive into the song and all the stuff that sort of surrounds it. Last time we talked a little bit about the Rock My Can benefit plan thing, and that sort of relates to Headbanger, but we didn't actually get into Headbanger. So that's what we'll do this time. And then there's actually some recent news that has happened as well. So maybe we can start with talking about that and move on to the rest. So let's see. There's a fair amount of news that kind of relates to Legend Metal Galaxy. So Legend Metal Galaxy Day 1 has been announced to be available on Apple Music and iTunes starting September 9th, when the physical Legend Metal Galaxy will be available. And then I think they're providing Brand New Day and Headbanger from that.
Yeah, I think those are releasing only in Japan too, right?
I think so. I think they should be available now. I haven't actually checked in on that, but I haven't seen them in my iTunes.
Right.
But Headbanger, that's, sort of topical. I don't actually know if it's Apple only, but I think it's Apple only, and I think it's Japan only. Does anyone know otherwise?
I don't know otherwise, but that makes sense. It was tweeted out in Japan in Japanese, and it seems like it only appeals to Japanese and Apple.
Yeah, I have no information to the contrary, and I was under the impression that it's Japan only right now.
Okay, but that's good. I mean, it seems like they're pushing this a little bit. The other sort of more substantial thing is that they announced the store bonuses for Legend Metal Galaxy. So before, it had been basically just, I think, pre-order from Osmart, and well, I don't know if you could, maybe not actually. Maybe you were able to buy them from the stores, but now we know what the stores will provide. So, and I think this was actually it may have only been tweeted by Toys Factory, not by Baby Metal itself. But at any rate, they have announced that there's, the Osmart has a A5 sized clear file. Amazon Japan has a ticket holder. I think the B3 sized poster comes with everything. The Toys Factory store itself has postcards, and then I think any other store has a different postcard.
Yay. Hope you're not a completionist.
Yeah, although, I mean, they have done this a lot,
yeah.
Like with all these things, and I have at times picked, a particular store in order to get something from that store, so I would get the thing. I'm not sure about this. I haven't yet bought the CDs, the audio CDs, so it's possible that I could get one of these things, but I don't know what I would get. I think probably the clear file, just because they're big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have more use for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, although I have a couple of these clear files somewhere, but they just sit on my shelf.
Right.
So,
yeah, too nice to use.
Yeah.
I think I would want the ticket holder.
I think that has the cover design on it, right?
Yeah. Plus, it's a way to preserve your ticket.
Well, okay. I guess only one of us really actually has need of that, but that's true.
To use it for its intended purpose.
Yeah. So I guess that's Amazon Japan that you would need to order from.
Yeah.
The other sort of part of this, which is, I guess, hilarious, is that, so first of all, the one sets do not come with any of this stuff. So the Osmart bonuses are for, future orders or, non the one orders. I think maybe if you pre-ordered already a non the one set, you would get the clear file, but none of this stuff comes with the one.
Right.
So if you are a person who would have bought the one set, then you have to continue to buy things. But so they have this lottery, which is it's almost like, if you could invent the most sort of ridiculous way to make people buy stuff, this would probably be something like what they actually did. The crazy thing about the Legend Metal Galaxy release is that they also have announced a lottery for 100 original cushions, Baby Metal original cushions. So you can enter this lottery, and the way you enter the lottery is that you get some ticket that you get by buying one of the audio CDs, and you affix it to a postcard that you get by buying one of the Blu-rays or DVDs, and then you mail it. So
What?
the only way to enter the lottery for this cushion, and I think it's basically Japan only, but you have to buy, you need a piece from the audio and a piece from the video in order to enter the lottery, which means that you have to buy both of those. And even though the one set comes with both of those, the one set does not come with any of the stuff you need to enter the lottery. So you need to buy an additional, Blu-ray and an additional audio CD.
That seems discouraging to me for buying the one.
Oh, well, but of course, the one is already closed. I mean, you will have bought it already.
I guess so, but I feel like this is one of those features they could have easily included with the one to make it more worthwhile. But I don't know. It feels like they also kind of made it a direct hassle if you did buy the one. I don't know.
My guess is that they only came up with this idea after, recently.
After it ended, probably.
I mean, I guess they're still producing the sets, so they could have put these pieces in with the one. But if you can imagine, like, who would be most likely to buy these things?
You.
Right. Well,
If we're being logical here.
what I mean is, but yes, exactly. Like the people who bought the one are going to be the ones who are most likely going to go out and also buy the audio and also buy the video. And but I think they will only ship it to a Japan address. So I assume that they would be willing to send it to Tenso.
Your odds are so low, you might not even need to worry about it.
Only 100 of them?
Yeah. I think I'm not going to even bother with this. I mean, I might buy the audio CD for the case, but I mean, it's still kind of a lot for the case.
Yeah.
The case and the clear file, I guess. Another thing that was announced was that Brand New Day was played. I think it was basically part of the launch of something called Mukomi Plus, FM 93 radio, which I think this is like music and comics is what that is kind of an abbreviation for. I don't really know much about that, but it was an announcement that we got over the Twitter feed. But Brand New Day seems to be hitting the radio is kind of what I'm getting out of this.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty suitable. I think actually that's probably a pretty good radio example for them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I can't really... What other songs would they be willing to put on the radio off of Metal Galaxy? I mean, I think Elevator Girl, I think I've heard for sure. And then I don't know what other ones they would put on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, Shanty 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 would probably be a good choice.
That'd be a strong contender.
Or Kaguro. I mean, like, the funny thing, of course, with all of these is that anyone you pick is pretty much like, well, yeah, but that's not very characteristic of them. Except that's true of all of them.
Yeah.
One thing that was kind of related and funny was that Tim Henson of Polyphia tweeted saying, can all of the fans of Baby Metal and Polyphia like lobby to get us to be able to play with them because they saw the video of Legend Metal Galaxy Brand New Day and thought it was pretty impressive. But I also thought it was pretty funny just how much on the outside Polyphia seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After seeing that tweet, I'm not sure how much they actually knew about Baby Metal. Well, just like, I don't know.
I mean, they probably recorded their parts more than a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Likely, yeah.
And even then it was just in the studio, probably talking with Koba, another producer, music people.
Via email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably just forgot about it, honestly.
Probably. I mean, but it's super exciting to see that tweet from Tim, though. That him reaching out like that and causing more a stir in the community between the communities to get us together like that would probably make it happen in the future. I feel like him calling out Baby Metal and saying we need to do this will probably get it done one day.
Yeah, it could be. That would be cool.
Who knows? Yeah, it would be neat. It does kind of feel like there were opportunities when they were playing in the US and stuff, but
oh, for sure.
I mean, I think we've talked about this before when we talked about Brand New Day itself, but I certainly have the feeling that Brand New Day is, I mean, it sounds very much like something Polyphia would write, that like, I feel like they had more to do with the creation of that song than other of the featured artists had to do with the creation of theirs. Okay, let's move on, I guess. There was a live viewing announced for Legend M in Japan. too. That's another bit of news. So July 31st, 7 p.m. and August 3rd, 7 p.m. And it's part of a larger festival. So it's called Live Viewing Fest Act Call. So I think this is sort of them participating in someone else's thing again, but that's right. I mean, it's a live streamed show. So not live streamed, it's a streamed show.
Do you think they'll sell merch?
I don't know. This is an event that you actually go to, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because they normally like kind of re-release like old merch, or maybe they'll do some new ones for this, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. But I assume that this would be mainly just something you could buy in the venue, so...
Yeah.
I think there are some acts in this festival that are also doing live streams for people who aren't physically there. BABYMETAL is not one of those artists, but there are some that are streaming via PIA live stream, and I think PIA is the same as the PIA in PIA Music Complex, or PMC. Mm-hmm. They produce the magazine that has had the interviews we've talked about before. So I think everybody on this side of the ocean, or at least off the island, I guess what I mean, is hoping for some kind of stream at some point.
Yeah. Even if they do, I don't know that I'd pay the 2,500 yen to watch it.
If it's just streaming Legendum, yeah, I mean, like, we can put in the Blu-ray.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So another thing that's actually sort of seems like bigger news, and I don't know if I completely understand this in its full depth, but it's been announced that Ryo Sayashi has something else to do in public. There is a vampire themed set of stories, and it is so. I don't fully understand this, but I think it's a series. In my head, I think of this as kind of like the Twilight series.
Okay.
In that it's kind of like, it spans several stories or whatever. But so Ryo is playing the lead character, Lily, in a musical, Lilium, that is part of this series. And the series is called Shared Trump. But so it's very strange to see
so unlucky.
All these Trump tweets from Ryo. But anyway.
Trigger words can catch you out anywhere.
But yeah, so the plan, I guess, is that it's playing in Tokyo September 20th to October 4th, in Osaka October 14th to October 20th, and some of this stuff will be live streamed. So there will be 10 live stream performances over 5 days in September and October. That's cool. That's interesting. It's unclear. Obviously, they don't say anything about how this connects to her sort of participation with BABYMETAL. There was actually a fairly long article where they were talking about, they sort of talked about this in, I guess this is in Yahoo News. And it basically said, this is great. It's been a long time since we've seen her in public. It's like, well, no, it actually hasn't. But apparently in news stories, you don't refer to the participation in BABYMETAL. So we don't have any specific information about whether she will continue to be an Avenger. It doesn't actually overlap with October 10th and the known obligations that she has, but presumably there's a fair amount of rehearsal and stuff that happens between now and then.
A lot of people doom and gloom that they'll never see her again as an Avenger.
And it could be. That could be. I mean, and we had much of the same conversation when she opened her Instagram and started becoming a public figure again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can still take these signs in a totally opposite direction and be even more pessimistic and say that no band is probably going to be touring or playing shows for probably close to a year, if not more.
Yeah.
So I imagine if they're keeping her as an Avenger, my best guess would be, okay, go do what you want for the next year and a half. We'll call you back whenever we can be a band again. But obviously it could be a lot more complex than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that seems reasonable to me. I mean, like if it, I think we talked about this before, even when Ryo opened her Instagram, that it's like, well, okay, we are not going to need you and you need to exist too,
Yeah, you have to have your own career here.
So, it could well be that they basically just said, okay, well, go ahead. It might not be final that they're finished, but there's no particular reason why she can't pursue her own thing. Mm-hmm. So certainly, it's true that the Avengers don't really have much to do outside of the context of an actual concert. So even if BABYMETAL does something for the 10th anniversary, if it doesn't involve a performance, then... And actually, the other thing, too, is that this thing that Ryo's doing doesn't actually conflict with the announced date, right? So...
Right.
She's doing something October 3rd and 4th, and 14th, but not 10th. Anyway, okay, I think we made it through the news. The part that when someone comes back and listens to this episode a year from now is desperately trying to skip past. Okay, so I think now we can jump into the actual topic, the announced topic of the episode, which is Headbanger, the song Headbanger. So there's a bunch of stuff to talk about here. We've done some of these kind of like deep dives into songs before, and this is much like those. And there's a fair amount to talk about actually with respect to Headbanger. In the previous episode, we talked a little bit about the Legend Corset Festival, which is the kind of release event for that. But there's a bunch of other stuff that we can talk about here too. So the video and the members' commentary that we have for that, the performances and choreography and lyrics and so forth. So I guess I can just start with the introductory notes. It was released on July 4th, 2012. That's Moa's birthday, by the way, in 2012. Yep. So Moametal, or Moa, however you choose to conceive of her, just turned 21, and this song just turned 8. The Headbanger song, it's credited as having lyrics by Hedobangyaa and Moametal, and those people are also responsible for Catch Me If You Can, in the case of Hedobangyaa, and Moametal has actually done quite a few things. So Akatsuki, Doki Doki Morning, Ijime Dame Zetai, Yava, and No Rain No Rainbow. And so the people responsible for Headbanger are responsible for a lot of other things too. Catch Me If You Can is probably the closest related. So the person who did the music was Narasaki, who's also responsible for the music in Catch Me If You Can, and Moametal was responsible for the arrangement of both. So I didn't know that before looking that up, that Catch Me If You Can was related to Headbanger so closely. And typographically, I put a note here that as far as I can tell, so we had a little bit of a discussion about this on Discord a little while ago, but it seems like typographically, I have yet to find an official source that does not write this as Headbanger with 5 E's, 5 R's, and 5 exclamation points at the end. It's a little surprising that it's so consistent, but I've looked through all the physical objects that I have, and it seems like they all actually have written it out this way when they write it in English. So
I remember not too long after I became a fan, it was the title of the video on the YouTube channel was spelled differently. And then it reverted back to the 5 E's, 5 R's, 5 exclamation points. Does anybody else remember that?
I don't remember that clearly,
No,
but
I
that
don't.
does sound like it could have happened.
Because I remember that I just remember there was much to do in the online community of people talking about this group, that the title of the video had changed in spelling.
Interesting. So I did not witness this happening. However, Dwayne Metal mentioned something about this, and I think so. If I understood what he said correctly, then the thing that it would have switched with is Hedobangyaa. So something that's a little bit more like a direct transliteration or transliteration of the Japanese. So in Japanese, it's like Hedobangyaa.
Yeah.
And for a while it was spelled Gyaa, I think, before it went back. Does that sound like what you saw?
No.
Or was it some different numbers of E's and R's?
No, I think it was just Headbanger with 1 E, 1 R.
Oh, interesting.
But, this was so long ago, I honestly don't remember. And I'm sure somebody will come out of the woodwork and correct us in the comment. And please do, because if you remember this, I'd like to remember it correctly. Or at least that I remember it at all. And I'm not just on a fever dream.
Right. Yeah, well, Dwayne Metal did mention that there was a change to something else and then back. But yeah, in Japanese, it is like if you read it in the kana, it's Hedobangyaa with 2 exclamation points. And then at least recently, anytime I've seen it written, it's been in English, Headbang, 5 E's, 5 R's, 5 exclamation points. Very critical that we get this right. But it seems like this is the kind of detail that, I don't know, you kind of want to get right.
Yeah.
Somehow, if you want to be a true fan. Okay. Anyway, so the when they released the single, they released it in this limited edition cardboard box that was decorated in kind of a hieroglyphic theme. So I think we mentioned this before when we were talking about the release of this, but it came with a neck brace and these instructions on how to wear it and a code that lets you get a ticket to the Legend Corset Festival. And it's pretty cool. So do you guys either have or have you seen this box?
I have seen it. I don't have it.
I do not think I've seen it.
No, I'm just trying to find it right now, but no, I've never seen it.
Yeah, so there's a picture of it in the chat now.
Oh, I've never seen it.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing.
A lot of these things, they kind of look better until you actually have them in your hand, and then they're kind of cheap. But it looks very nice. But it's it's basically just sort of like a cardboard box. It has there's a like in the front of it, there's this sort of like smoked translucent sheet that says BABYMETAL on it and kind of goes on top, so you can kind of see through it into the contents below. I don't really quite understand the Egyptian theme, but
no.
I've read somewhere, I didn't actually go and sort of double check this, but I think you can actually get something out of the hieroglyphs that are there. I think they're actually meaningful in some way. Maybe not as hieroglyphs, but
I was gonna say who reads ancient Egyptian? Anybody? Can we get a translate?
yeah. But
So cool. Is that Sue as a cat? Because that's awesome.
Looking at it, I'm not sure if it's necessarily even trying to spell anything out. Like the very first line, I see Sue in the middle, then Yui and Moa on the left and right. And then the rest of it, I don't know, but I don't know anything about Egyptian.
Yeah, this is one of the weirdest things I think they've put out.
it does sort of seem like an experiment in a way.
Yeah.
And this is very early, of course, too, right? I mean, this is I think it was released right before IDZ, right? I mean, so this is while they're still trying to figure out what their direction is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I had actually, when I was looking into this, and then I, of course, didn't take notes, but I had actually read that you can get something out of these hieroglyphs. Like it might actually be in katakana or something, if you can kind of stand far enough away.
Squint your eyes just right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can kind of see it.
Oh, can you read it though? I think somewhere we can find it. What it allegedly says.
The middle line looks like it starts with a he.
So maybe it's just Hedobang.
Maybe.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's a pretty cool thing though, and the one sort of point about it is that you had to buy this to gain access to the Legend Corset Festival, this little 150 person show that they had. So they released it on July 4th, but they announced it on April 27th in 2012. The CD has Headbanger and also Uki Uki Midnight, and then instrumental versions of the same, so air vocal versions. So if you were looking for that, they do exist. Not all of their songs have instrumental editions, but some of these earlier ones you can find. The special edition has all the same tracks. I mean, the CD is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the regular edition actually, in a sense, is kind of better in a way. I mean, like it's not as cool to put on a shelf, but the regular edition was actually an enhanced CD. So it had, if you put it in your computer, it had QuickTime movies on it.
Ooh.
Well, that's cool.
Which is very funny. Like this is kind of ancient tech, right? So
Yeah.
Somewhere I have in our show notes, I have photos of me running this on like an old Mac Cube.
Oh, I saw those.
But yeah, I mean, like, so if you put it in your ancient Mac, then you can bring up this video. And so the contents of these QuickTime videos is basically, it's BABYMETAL Death, but in this original form. So the original form, in case people did not know this, this is kind of trivia, I suppose, is it was a 1 second video. It was a 1 second song. It was supposed to be basically an homage to Napalm Death's You Suffer. I think you will have heard this. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. If you've not heard about this, then maybe you haven't heard it. But it's basically just, like I say, it's like BABYMETAL Death. That's about it.
Right.
But for like a half second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the video, of course, is not 1 second long. The video is this big, long introduction of like a Koba metal looking person sit in front of a kind of like a engineering desk, waving the CD around. and then they have 1 second of this video, and then there's like this extended bit afterwards where they're kind of like sitting around reading like the Guinness Book of World Records or something like that, which I assume is supposed to be kind of about like this song being like the shortest song. So, but anyway, and it actually it comes with several different languages. So, which is basically that video of Koba waving the CD around, dubbed in Arabic, Chinese, English, and French. Not Japanese, actually.
I don't remember even hearing a bunch of talking in that video.
Well, it's all in the intro. It's, you know, it's basically saying like, here's this video,
narration,
and you know, here's the song and the single or whatever. I mean, it's a little sales pitch, but you know, they basically hand it off to somebody to dub over in all these different languages. We don't hear Koba's voice on there anywhere because it's not in Japanese, and it's clearly not Koba talking in these other languages. The whole thing is pretty insane.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Legend Corset Festival last time. I think we probably don't need to re-say most of that stuff. Actually, Callie, you weren't here when we talked about it last time, so I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to kind of like add about any of this.
No, I just thought what was the first song they played for that whole show? I haven't seen the set list.
Doki Doki Morning.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Headbanger. Was that kind of the start of them using like a coffin and that kind of religious kind of thing? Was that kind of the start of it?
Yeah, I think it was the start, and I think it was definitely one of the first times they used the coffin.
Yeah.
I'll get into it a little bit whenever I talk about the music video, but what other did they use it for? They used it in the music video for Headbanger, and then this whole performance had the whole coffin in the middle. But I swear it was for something. They used it for something else too. I can't remember.
Yeah, I seem to remember actually that there was some story. I can't remember where I read this, but I mean, essentially, like they had this coffin and it was still hanging around, and so they said, "Well, okay, let's bring it for the stage." You know, like, don't get rid of that. We can use it for something else. I think probably it was used for the music video, and they failed to throw it away.
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, who would want to throw away a perfectly good coffin?
Yeah, you never know when you need that.
Exactly.
well, some fan would buy it.
Yeah, if they printed a BABYMETAL logo, I'd buy a BABYMETAL coffin.
Yeah.
Didn't I thought I saw some reference to like you being able to buy something like that for Kiss. Like
that doesn't surprise me either.
Although it seems like that would be sort of a sensible Metallica merch item, given I thought they had some album that had actually something like a magnetic filament design on it, which I thought was in a sort of coffin shape.
Death Magnetic. Yeah. Master of Puppets is in a straight up graveyard.
That's true. But yeah, so the Legend Corset Festival was, you know, it was their first sort of solo show, and they played, according to Setlist FM, they played BABYMETAL Death, the short version.
The 1 second version?
Yeah. I find that a little hard to imagine, but I would love to see that. Although, I mean, I suppose it's probably just the recording, really.
So everybody in the crowd there was forced to wear the neck braces. Would you guys want to go to a show in a neck brace?
Yes.
No.
So, yeah. Okay. I'd go to a BABYMETAL show in a neck brace, but I feel like it's a hazard everywhere else. Any other show.
They're not really a neck brace so much as a object that appears to function and look like a neck brace. Like it doesn't actually support your neck.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just soft.
Yeah.
A necklace with extra steps.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, all of this is really just kind of like mimicking the appearance of something, right?
Right.
Again, I return to my idea about the BABYMETAL concept being basically like what little kids see when they look at metal.
Yeah.
And I don't think through that lens much stuff is wrong. Makes a lot of sense.
Anyway, I think I don't think that I didn't have anything specific I wanted to say about the Legend Corset Festival, except that I wish we had more footage. We have only those 2 songs.
Yeah, such a shame.
Okay, you guys want to go ahead and jump into the music video?
Sure. Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay. Starts off with Sue Metal kneeling down on a cushion. I can't confirm or deny that's the cushion people will be entering the lottery for, but I mean, if they revealed that to be the cushion, I mean, I don't know. Anywhere out of nowhere, a giant Egyptian style. It almost looks like concrete to me. It said in their commentary about the show that Sue said the box was heavy. So I think it may have been made out of like some kind of like cast or molding, clay maybe. But inside this big box that levitated in front of her for a few seconds came out a neck brace. She puts a neck brace on, proceeds to get ready for a big show. She puts on all her makeup for the first time, jumps on the bed, etc. And then after that, it's showtime, and most of the music videos them on stage in front of a big coffin with all the half stacks, all the full stacks of guitar amplifiers. During the beginning, whenever she's like on the cushion and everything, there's a bunch of pictures she's looking at, and it's they call that guy the god of headbanging. Is that right?
I think they call them that in the commentary.
Yeah, in the commentary they called them
did.
that. And my first few times watching the video, like before I actually started studying it to actually learn more about it, like I never even really noticed this guy. But he's in like all the pictures in the bedroom with long hair, with the fox hands, and then while they're on stage, he pops out of the coffin and does headbangs. He does his thing, and that's pretty much most of the music video.
It's interesting that you never get to see that guy's face though. Like in all the photos, the hair is over the face, and when he's actually moving in the video, you only see his hair spinning around. So who knows?
If he stood still, it probably went down almost to his knees. Probably was it real hair?
Who knows?
That's up for debate.
This like hiding the face of everyone but the performer does seem like a kind of it feels like a fairly Japanese thing.
Right.
Avoiding pulling focus away from the people that you're supposed to be watching by showing nobody else's face. I know I've seen that in other acts as well.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense if that's what they're going for, but the real fans care.
Although in IDZ we did get the sad metalist. We saw his face. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of this video?
I mean, it fits the time period. Yeah, it shows its age quite a bit. It's almost 10 years old, and looking back, like if you compared a picture of the Yui, Moa, and Sue all together from like 2012, like in this picture with all the makeup and everything, and put them side by side with themselves today, it would be crazy. I mean, you could obviously recognize them, but 10 years, that's crazy.
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on this video. It isn't, I like the song and all, and I'm glad that they did this and got famous with it and stuff. It's, the makeup is so extreme.
Oh yeah. I think in the commentary, she calls it out as caked on. Other descriptive words like that, I forget. I'll have to read it again, but thick. I remember heard it thick. Yeah.
Thick. Yeah.
That was another one. Yeah. Thick makeup, fake eyelashes. She complained about them being itchy and everything, but then had to remember during shooting that it's just the fake eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the video. I like videos that tell a story and isn't just a performance, akin to what we're getting, as of late.
Mm-hmm.
And it is iconic. It might feel a little bit dated now, but what doesn't? I mean, it's 8 years old as a video.
I think I'm onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm onto something. I'm cross-referencing the photo of the box you guys were talking about with all the Egyptian wording on it. That Faku posted in the chat and everything. The top of the box in Headbanger has some very similar shapes on it. Like you can only see like the first two characters on the bottom line, and they look kind of similar.
It's supposed to be the same, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? I'd assume so, but that's a line I never drew until just now. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that other box was even a thing until 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. It's interesting that you can still get those, actually. I mean, obviously, no, not from any official source, but given how limited they must have been, maybe they overproduced them.
Maybe
that's why they, do all things pre-order now, because they got stuck with a full warehouse of these.
Warehouse of cardboard boxes.
The other thing that's kind of funny about that is that video at the end. Like at the very end, Sue kind of like collapses on the bed, and then they do this really slow, like unbelievably slow pan up to show the moon. And it, like, as I see that, I always look at this and think, this, it really feels like student video. Like,
yeah.
Film school 101.
But
the moon is red. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, you said slowly pans to the moon, and my brain instantly went werewolves.
Yeah. Don't know. Yeah. I mean, there are a couple sort of like things that feel a little amateurish about this attempt. But again, maybe that was what they were going for, like what little kids do with metal concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a commentary too, like on the limited edition of the first album. They had the videos with some audio commentary where they're just sort of like looking back on the creation of this video. So that was where the box being heavy came from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we want to talk about that.
We can talk about it a little bit. Yui was the one that observed the Moametal's makeup was thick. Hair guy, god of headbanging. He was also an IDZ, not the same guy, but a similar white or similar silhouetted figure. Long hair, headbanging. I never noticed this too. I don't know why my brain just ignores those people.
I kind of get the feeling that they were, like they were sort of experimenting with possible futures there. Like, you could imagine that the lore kind of could have gone directions that it didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess Sue was talking about jumping on the bed and losing, like, kind of, I don't know if she was getting dizzy or whatever, but she kind of like lost herself and fell off.
Right.
She also said that she wore high heels and fell down many times.
Kind of talks as if I'm surprised nobody knew. Like, maybe they caught like a single frame of me falling down.
Yeah. As far as I know, they didn't. But
no, sure. I mean, they've done a pretty good job of hiding all the other times she's fallen down.
Okay, that could almost be its own episode.
But like
Trips to the Floor by Moametal.
Yeah.
Did we must have talked about the slippery Tokyo Dome runways at some point.
Surely,
I
at some
believe,
point
yeah,
we did.
we have to have.
It is actually kind of funny when you listen to / read the commentaries that they notice things that I don't. So they're saying, "Oh, the choreography is different," and it looks the same to me.
Looks just fine.
And they were talking about how the socks they were wearing were shorter than, like, I guess what they were used to. They didn't go over the knee, and so they had to actually use this stuff which where they referred to as sock touch. But which is like little glue that kind of like holds it up, holds their socks up, so they didn't, sort of like
slide down from all the jumping and running.
But it's funny, like when you're listening to it and you don't speak Japanese, this kind of jumps out. They say "sock touch." Okay. Maybe we can move on to, since we kind of mentioned the choreography. I don't know if there's stuff we want to talk about in the sort of performances and choreography area.
Yeah, I think we can talk about some of that stuff.
Okay.
So this song is unique in that it's the only song that consistently has a prop on stage. Mm-hmm. If you've been around, I'm sure you recognize the prop, the microphone stand with the it's red, silver, black kind of spiral bejewels. It's like gemmed going up, like they bejeweled a microphone stand.
It's a funny way to think of it.
This is the first thing I think of. And if you don't know what a bejewel is, it's like a kid's toy that lets you attach gems to all kinds of like clothes and things like that. And I don't know why that's always the first thing I think of when I see this thing, is they just had fun with one of those toys and decorated a microphone stand.
And this prop's kind of a dead giveaway too. Like a lot of the last tour, I think people saw the microphone stand laying out on stage before the set even started. So everybody kind of had a sneaking suspicion they were going to do Headbanger.
Yeah, it's definitely a dead giveaway when you see it on stage that song is coming. Mm-hmm. Something else they've done in the past too, and still do occasionally, is what do you call that part of a song? Is it breakdown or?
Breakdowns when it gets slow and heavy. There's a bridge that connects parts. There's verses, choruses.
Yeah, those are all the words I was thinking of too, but I don't think any of them describe it.
Okay.
The middle of the song when Sue has the microphone up and everybody's bowing.
I'd call that a breakdown.
Call it a breakdown? Okay, we'll go with breakdown, and a musical
that's
expert
probably
will
not
correct us.
accurate. Yeah.
Maybe we need a Twitter poll.
Twitter poll. What is this called?
I'll make it happen.
Anyways, in the past, notable performances, Mo and Yui will go to either ends of the stage with big old smoke cannons. It looks like they shoot out not smoke, but like fire extinguisher material. Obviously, I don't think it's fire extinguisher material because that stuff's toxic, but that's kind of the look.
It's like they shoot out some kind of like dry ice type gas. Maybe,
yeah,
CO2.
I have no idea what that stuff is, and maybe somebody who has a stagecraft background can identify that because it's a common thing. I've seen it before, and they'll kind of they'll get the crowd going and shoot this stuff at the crowd and get everybody all excited and things like that. Loon thinks it's dry ice. It could very well be. I have no idea what that stuff is.
It can look pretty impressive, though. I think
definitely
like dry ice with water, and then you put it under pressure, and then if it doesn't blow up, then the pull of the trigger would release a lot of the gas at a time.
Should it not blow up?
yeah.
I know. So I think dry ice would probably be a likely candidate for what it was, but they probably spent $10,000 and had a really nice setup that would not blow up. That might not even been dry ice at all.
I would say my impression of BABYMETAL is not that they spend a lot for luxury stuff. It actually seems to me like if you really look closely at the stuff that they have, it really seems kind of like, they've done the minimal amount to make it look good. But I mean, like in the 2018 tour with the staff getting put together, like sort of stuck together with duct tape and stuff.
Right.
Oh, my mind went to what I want to say Legend-esque, but I think it happened elsewhere too. Whenever like the big moving stage in the middle just stopped working and everybody had to push it.
I think that was the Forum. Well, maybe it
that was the
happened more than
Forum,
once.
Yeah.
I was thinking Legend-esque because they had people actually out there miming pulling it. My bad.
They did, yeah. Man with a
yeah.
Mission special appearance.
But the my favorite, I think, smoke cannon one is the Big Fox Festival. That something about the camera work on that. It really works super well. They sort of captured that in a very impressive way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Sometimes I've seen shots of them doing it at festivals and stuff where it actually looks kind of pathetic, because it's just like little bits of smoke coming out.
Just barely reaches the crowd.
Yeah.
But the Big Fox Festival was very good. So I mean, it might actually have been sort of no more smoke than usual, but the shots that they put on the Blu-ray make it look impressive.
So the song is about your night of 15, turning 15. Discovering metal, things like that. So there have been some notable performances of this song in the past. In 2014, when Yui and Moa each turned 15, we got the Yui and Moa headbanger version, and where they each got to sing lead for their birthdays for the second half of the song, after the quote unquote breakdown that we just talked about. And there's clips of this stuff. There's some fan cams of them, and there's about 16 seconds of official footage that came off of a digest. And those are kind of the only ways to see them. They're out there. They're on YouTube. We'll put them in the show notes.
It's so frustrating that we don't have like proper video of that, because even the official ones that were on the Blu-ray digest are they're essentially fan cams. Yeah. Well, and they're officially shot, and I have a hard time thinking that those camera people that were filming that didn't film the whole thing. So, this footage, I'm sure, exists on a shelf somewhere or on a hard drive. That would be a fun thing to have in the collection, along with the Palladium, which was filmed and never released. Yeah.
Man, we could almost do a whole episode of speculation on what's on Koba's hard drive that has not been released yet. Yeah.
Every once in a while, I think, 10th anniversary is coming up. Maybe there is no better time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can't have a concert, so just release all that stuff. That would certainly make me happy.
Just upload the whole thing, Koba. All 40 terabytes, all of it.
Just put it all on a Google Drive. You can borrow ours if you need to.
Honestly.
So those special performances, became known as Legend M, Legend Y, each for their birthday in 2014. July 3rd for Moa, one day before her birthday, and July 1st for Yui. And this started a trend, right? So more notable performances. We got this song at Legend S, which was Sue's 20th birthday concert. What made this, I think, really cool and really special and unexpected was they changed the lyrics, or she changed the lyrics from Night of 15 to Night of 20 for her 20th birthday, which got an excellent crowd response.
Yeah, it did.
And it's just a really cool moment. That was really fun to watch. You know, in all of the things surrounding Legend S and the cloud that surrounds that show, this is one of the things that I think is always really special and really neat about that concert.
Mm-hmm. The hands in the choreography change as well to the peace sign, which is number 2, and then a circle with Moa's hand to show it's 2-0.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So that's really cool. And then of course, just last year, we got a Moabanger version at Legend M for her 20th birthday with the same lyric changes.
Yay!
Which again is really special.
And having the pro shot of Moabanger is really nice.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of amazing when you think about just changing one lyric and one piece of choreography elicits such a reaction and a response from everybody in attendance, and I would guess people watching at home too. Yeah,
everybody kind of knew that lyric well enough to recognize the change. It actually switches pretty seamlessly too, because the original lyric is it's said in kind of a weird way. It's basically like 1-5.
Right.
1-5 is a night, and so Ichigo is 1-5, and Hatachi is like the 20 for ages, and it fits perfectly in that spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting, you know. I know people who've been to Legend S, you know, that was unexpected, and then there was a lot of speculation leading up to Legend M. If they play it, will they play it? Will they do it again? Will she get to sing? Will they change the lyric? Things like that. So when the song first starts, you know, the crowd just explodes because they know it's coming now. So it's almost a different kind of excitement, but still very, very neat.
Uh-huh. It would have been really disappointing if they didn't switch and Sue just carried on.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. They've got to be fairly well in tune with like what the expectations were too, though.
Yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, maybe one other thing to mention that kind of goes in the performances section is this one time, I feel like we just talked about this recently, but anyway, the Night of 15 version that they did, where it was sort of like dancing over a mix of the song.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't write down where that was, but Legend 1997 says Loon in the chat.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's my favorite show.
Good call. That's a very good performance.
Yeah, because they played Headbanger twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the show opened with it, with this sort of mixed version of it. So
if you haven't heard it, it's Headbanger with like a dubstep remix over it.
Yeah, it's a whole remix.
It's basically a different song.
A new dance and everything.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I prefer the original, and I don't listen to this one very often. What do you guys think of it?
I liked it a lot, and I remember whenever I first kind of found it, I watched it a bunch, but nowadays it hasn't really been something I haven't sought it out in a long time. I should probably do that.
What about you, Callie? What do you think of that version?
I love it. I think it's like equal to the original song, because as soon as I heard it, I just fell in love with it instantly, because it just puts a different spin on an already like amazing song. I just love them both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like it too, actually. I kind of listen to them as if they are different songs, but
yeah.
I think they are. They just are. At least for me.
I've always just assumed they are. I mean, if it doesn't sound the same, how can it be the same song?
Yeah. But they add like extra dances in like kind of the start of that song in the other version, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I think the performance was actually pretty nice because they sort of didn't have to focus on anything but just dancing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was essentially they were dancing to a pre-recorded song.
Yeah, she's definitely not singing live.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. I guess we probably talked about this before because it's on the special editions of the IDZ single. Like, I'm pretty sure these are the ones that look like the drug campaign. That one.
Right.
So if you want the clean, audio that doesn't have any audience noise in it, that's where this comes from.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part in the performance of Headbanger where, like, on the recording, I guess it must be the background growl or whatever that says "Kiaro," right? And that is a big audience participation point. That basically, like, they stop singing and the whole audience, like, all of Tokyo Dome or whatever, says this, right? Mm-hmm. Yells this back. But I think we talked about this last time that they knew even in the footage from Legend Corset Festival, they were already doing this. Like the audience already knew what to do.
Uh-huh.
So, because I think that's what got us actually talking about how long ago before that it had been released. You know, everyone had their special edition thing, but it had been performed a couple times before. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of a fun part anyway.
Definitely.
So maybe we can sort of move up to the lyrics if that is what people want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so the lyrics we have the two. There's sort of like the two sources that we usually refer to. So there's Enkidu's translations on dometal.blogspot.com. Those are very good, of course. And then there's also BABYMETAL has a series of videos. This one is basically 6 parts. I think actually I'll kind of go mostly in the order that BABYMETAL went through them because they're actually really, you know, as usual, he's really thorough. Mm-hmm. But in his first part, he starts talking about the title. And in Japanese, it's, you know, it's Hedobangyaa, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously that sounds like headbanger in English. But it's also conceivable that the gya at the end is essentially like a word for groupie. Which so I think it's kind of a, you know, it's a twisting a bit of the English word girl, right? Mm-hmm. But so Bandgal, he was thinking that it kind of started from something that is derived from English Bandgal, Bangal, which lost its L and became Bangyaa and then just Gya. And so at least his thought about this is that, you know, it might, the Gya, the Hedobangyaa part might actually be something sort of like metal groupie, which is interesting. And I think we've talked about this before, but I mean, like, there's ambiguity everywhere. You know, we don't know what the answer is, and the answer might be that it means both things. It does sort of feel like the plot of the song. It didn't seem as much like a groupie following everywhere, but more like, you know, a special event for 15th birthday. And then, okay, so then the lyrics of the song basically say something like, you know, legendary black hair, splendidly disarrayed. And then it's sort of talking about like holding tightly to this like discount train ticket that's going to get you there. It's kind of cute. Mm-hmm. But there's a part that basically talks about going, you know, east, west, north, south, which kind of suggested to BABYMETAL at least that it was a little bit like a groupie kind of chasing around after the favorite band, traveling wherever one needs to go, which is hard for us to imagine that someone might do that. But
yes, extremely difficult. I can't relate.
Yeah. Anyway, in the lyrics, the plan is basically to like fight and battle and dash to be like right in the center of what is essentially the mosh pit. And I think the Kiero part is essentially saying, you know, if you're going to be in my way, like get out of here. The word Kiero is basically like, you know, remove yourself, right? Mm-hmm. One thing that's interesting if you watch the BABYMETAL videos is he does sort of comment on the kind of the style of the language. You know, that the language is a little bit strange, and there are places where it's not exactly vulgar, but it's kind of crude language.
Right.
In various places, you know, like talking about fighting to get to the, you know, the optimal spot. And there's actually a little section where they're talking about kind of stand up straight, don't move, bend backward, dive in reverse, lean toward the barrier, roll over, diving, like crowd surfing. And all of this is kind of choreographed in a way. Like apparently there is this, as part of this like visual K, which I've never fully understood this, but I mean like visual K type music performance event. There actually is a kind of a choreography to what the audience is supposed to do. And I think that's what's being referred to here. Like everyone's supposed to sort of like lean forward and back and so forth.
Okay.
So
I didn't really get that. Well, then again, I've never seen Headbanger live, but now I know. If we see Headbanger, next time you go to a BABYMETAL show and you see Headbanger, run left, run right, stand up, lean back, jump toward the stage, jump over the barrier, just send it. Yeah. Roll over the mob. If you're going to cry, just beat it.
Yeah. In the lyrics, there is some discussion of like, I mean, it's stuff like crowd surfing, but also this sort of like deep bowing worship motion that we definitely see the audience doing, right?
Right.
So In fact, when we talked about them introducing stuff like this on TV, at least in some of these things, that's what they were, that's what they were telling the TV hosts about. Like, okay, Baby Metal version headbanging is side to side.
Right.
And then there's this sort of deep bowing thing you also do, which they kind of also consider a different kind of headbanging.
Must do it correctly.
That's right. Exactly. But then, okay, so the lyrics also talk about 1/5's night. I'll never forget. I'll sort of inscribe it in my heart to keep this moment forever. Mm-hmm. Oh, the 1/5's night thing. So this is another place where there's a bunch of ambiguity, and even Dwayne Metal's not completely clear on exactly all the stuff that this could mean. But Ichi is 1, go is 5, Ichigo is 1/5, right? So this is 15, and it says 15's night, like 1/5's night. Ichigo no yoru, whatever, right? Night of 1/5. Mm-hmm. But Ichigo is also the word for strawberry. So, and I think there's something else too that he talked about this. Oh yeah, once in a lifetime as well. So it can also mean sort of like fleeting. Mm-hmm. So I think all of this stuff it means all of that stuff at once.
Right. I'd be curious to know how often in Japanese music, or I suppose most any Asian language music, this kind of thing happens where they do a play on words because it makes sense musically. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Like changing the lyric to Jugo doesn't really sound good, which I'm sure is in part why it's Ichigo. That's way more rhymable, at least to my English brain.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's also kids speak, I would think. It's sort of...
Maybe?
I think there's probably a lot of sort of competing things that went into this, and I'm sure a lot of thought went into like the lyrics here. But so it definitely flows better, I think, as Ichigo, though. If it had been the other way, I'm not sure how I would view this all differently.
I think you'd have to rewrite the song.
Yeah. All right. So then the part, the Kiado part and all this, it is largely about like, if you're going to be timid or in my way, get out of here. Which I think is also pretty funny, as a message. It's like, this is my night of 15. It's fleeting. I'm going to remember it. And, God help anyone who's in my way.
Thinly veiled threat.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I think I would definitely recommend, as usual, going through Dwayne Metal's videos because I think it's really pretty interesting. Dwayne almost always has this idea that something in these songs has some kind of old cultural reference. So if you think about the song, there's a place where Moa and Yui are yelling "Koya," right?
Yes, there's the verses of call and response.
Yeah, and so what they're saying, so that's basically "come on." That's what it means, and they're saying that in response to, like, on one side of the stage, "Come on," and then the other side of the stage, "Come on." And Dwayne has this idea that this "come on" call is a reference to pro wrestler turned comedian Takada Nobuhiko, who always used a similar phrase. And I never know how much to believe Dwayne on this.
See, I feel like them just yelling "come on" is a way of crowd participation.
Oh yeah, but I think like Dwayne's idea is basically that this is something that's kind of like seeped into the culture, and so like anyone who hears this will also kind of simultaneously think of this wrestler. Mm-hmm. But he often does this, and there's a sort of similar thing he said about, that he thought, what's this guy's name? Zakayama, who often another comedian, Hironari Yamazaki, who is referred to as Zakayama, who is also a comedian So, okay, this is a different part of the lyrics, but basically there's that part I was talking about, the choreography, where they were saying, like, dive in reverse and then lean over the barrier and then roll over the crowd. There's a connector. They say kara no, and it basically means from, but it's translated as something like and then or next. Do this and then do this and then do this. And apparently this Zakayama guy was sort of famous for this, for saying kara no.
Sure.
And, so Dwayne is convinced that all these things are these cultural references, but old ones, when Koba was growing up, kind of references, which I can kind of believe. But at the same time, I do kind of wonder if Dwayne's really just imposing a lot of his own brain on this.
Maybe.
I feel like if Sue and Moa, I guess Yui at the time too, got any kind of say in the matter, I mean, I feel like Koba wouldn't be purposefully inflecting all that kind of stuff that into their music that they wouldn't even understand, you know?
I know what you mean. I have a potential counterexample.
Okay, well, let's hear your example, because I have a hard time explaining this.
We know from an interview that they did with Sakura Gakuin at the end of Yui and Moa's time there, when they had this this video where one of the characters in this video was essentially this little Ewok. Nobody in Sakura Gakuin had any idea what an Ewok was. You know, like the CEO from Tower was interviewing him, and he's like, "Oh, you know, like there's an Ewok," and everybody sort of like looked at him blankly. And eventually, the CEO guy said, "All right, well, this isn't going anywhere. Well, let's just talk about something else."
Yeah.
But because they were thinking, well, maybe it looks like maybe a Yunano's dog or something.
What's there a small bear doing in here?
Yeah, but what that means is they don't know anything about Star Wars, but Star Wars is infused through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I
that's a good analogy.
So I kind of think that Koba will do what Koba will do.
Right.
Regardless,
That doesn't mean that Dwayne's right about this, but it does seem like there's quite likely stuff hiding in the lyrics that go over the performers' heads, or at least did. That's one thing that I think is really interesting about watching Dwayne Metal's videos, is that you really feel like you get a sense for what, at least, a sample of the audience who really has the Japanese culture behind them experiences when they hear this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think I had much more to say about the lyrics. It was just, I wrote a little synthesis of what it is saying overall. And so I will read that now, but then I think that's basically all I had on that.
Okay.
So the song says, legendary disordered hair, crazy blooming ephemeral flower. Time's here, clutch ticket, travel widely, rush to center of pit, go left, go right, stand up, lean back, jump toward the stage, lean over the barrier, roll over the mob, headbang deeply. This is the special night of my 15. Crybabies, beat it. I'll etch this fleeting moment into my heart. That's about right.
yeah,
The first
sums it
part
up
just
pretty
sounds
good.
like every fan that goes to a show, that is basically what happens in the crowd.
Uh-huh.
The instruction manual.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
I know I thought it was kind of interesting that it did take me a little while to quite comprehend that Hedoban was headbang.
Okay, that didn't really click in my head either.
What else? Anything else?
Do you want me to go ahead and do my little announcement thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Attention, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. This is my last podcast that I'm going to be recording using my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Let me explain. The problem is, it goes deep. It's not that I love BABYMETAL. They're still one of my favorite bands. It's just kind of boiling out for me, and I don't want to completely get burnt out on BABYMETAL. I don't want to go the next 5 years and can't stand them, So I'm just going to stop talking about them and let myself go back to just enjoying their music. That being said, I'm still going to be here on the podcast server on the Discord. Just like Vars, he's still around. I still plan on helping out with the Twitter and everything. But my speaking role on the podcast is not something I wish to continue. As for part 2 is that my overall reliability for being able to speak on the podcast will be going down drastically over the next few months, probably. I mean, I've really spoke about this in public, but I have people in my family who have health problems, and completely unrelated to the virus that's going around is a nightmare getting into hospitals safely. So dealing with all that's just a whole another wave of stuff. So I think just it'd be in everybody's best interest if I just stopped talking on the podcast and helped out in any way possible.
No, we all
Yeah.
understand.
Well, we'll definitely miss your voice.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, we'll
and
miss
we
you.
appreciate the having had you on the podcast up till this point.
I appreciate you guys having me. You guys were great. Everybody in the chat, Paul, Kevin, and Callie deserve the world. They did a great job. Mikey agrees. You hear him in the back.
Yep.
We'll miss him too.
Please continue supporting us. Check out our website.
Yeah, often I think if you see tweets, Garrett will be responsible for those tweets. So
For the most part. So yeah.
And
come
not
say hi.
from his bird, from him.
Yeah, from me.
Which hopefully will mean fewer spelling mistakes because I will be tweeting less.
There might be more, to be honest.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So it's good to have said something so that it's not just suddenly you're not here anymore.
Yeah, I just don't want to just like disappear. And there's no hard feelings from me, and hopefully not from you guys either. It's just back whenever we started, like whenever I first tried to be on this podcast, I was playing in a band. I was recording music. My life was in a totally different direction. And then about 2 months later, it decided, turn around, backwards, go back.
Yeah, and it's probably not a bad idea to occasionally sort of take a break as well. I mean, it's pretty intense. It can be. I hope I do not burn out, but I can understand how one might.
I think your level of fandom, Paul, I'm not sure you can.
No.
You're too far invested.
I can't see that happening.
It's like buying 3 Volkswagens and saying you don't like a Volkswagen. I'm just going to call you a liar.
Okay. Awesome. Well, all the best from all of us. And, we'll still see you around the server. And to the extent that you ever want to hop in here, that's also always fine.
Yeah, it's always a possibility.
Absolutely.
Yep. Maybe we'll do, and I'll have some recordings of Mikey, I guess, right?
Oh,
so I'll
yes,
insert them in occasionally.
This episode's recording's probably going to be a bit worse than they normally are.
But, all right. Well, thanks. And I guess basically then I think we can probably close off the episode unless there's something else that anyone wanted to say.
No.
No, I don't think so. We'll miss you, Garrett.
Yeah, we'll miss you.
I'll miss you guys too.
All right. That's it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in about 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us then. And until then, see you.